Uh-oh. Okay, we'll start with this. Set to return to action next month on the 20th, newly crowned WBC champion Tiara Brown is set to return to action against an opponent that has yet to be announced in what will be her very first defense of her newly obtained WBC title that she obtained in her last fight, beating Skye Nicholson in Skye's own home turf. Not much hope of a rematch since Skye has since moved down to the super bantamweight division for whatever reason. The World Boxing Council still has Skye ranked at number 1. Even though she already moved down, ranked at number 2 is Mexico's own Magali Rodriguez. That'd make for a decent fight with Tiara. Former champion Sarah Mahfoud would make for a decent fight as well as Raven Chapman. So there are some good names there for Tiara to fight right there in the World Boxing Council's ranked standings. After she won her fight and things went kind of quiet, I half expected Tiara to migrate over to the MVP side of things, which has fast become the flagship promoter for women's boxing and women boxers. But it would appear that she will be boxing under the OTX banner for at least one more time. After that deal is over, whenever that deal is over, I expect her to migrate to MVP as well, provided that she stays WBC champion. The biggest fight at the weight right now for Tiara, the biggest fight to make is the Serrano fight. Amanda Serrano, who is set to return to the featherweight division on the heels of her loss to Katie Taylor. She still holds 2 alphabet titles there. She is still unified champion and one of the best fighters around. If you're Tiara and you want to fight in the big fight, well, that's a big fight. In previous instances, previous years, I never saw Tiara go after Amanda the same way that she went after Skye Nicholson. I mean, she was on Skye's ass even before Skye had a belt. Whereas with Amanda, I never saw her be as vocal. I think it's because things are very respectful between them, very cordial. But now that they're both champions at the same weight,
something's gotta give.
I would have made the recommendation that young Tiara go after Nina Menka, but Nina Menka is out, recovering from spinal surgery. We don't know when we're gonna see her again. We don't know if the IBF is gonna let her keep that alphabet title. So the only 2 active available champions at this time for a unification match, it's Amanda and Tiara. I don't know what's going to happen. That's a question that's going to need an answer after September when Tiara defends the green and gold for the first time. What is she going to do after that? And is she going to pursue Amandia? Elsewhere in the world of boxing, the Tank fans, the Tank stands, they had a little meltdown yesterday over an AI image that I created using Grok.
Is that Ellie Sackback making out with Javante?
It is, accenting the pole-smoking nature of Ellie Sackback's boxing coverage and his behaviors towards Javante Davis.
Just suck his dick already, Ellie.
The Javante Davis fans didn't like it, the stands. One in particular, one of the queens of boxing talk stated, "I'm not being funny at all when I say this. Y'all willing to let trolling get you sued?
Sued over an AI image."
Secondly, while making this, you didn't stop and say, "This is kinda gay. Maybe I shouldn't?"
Well, I responded to the Queens of Boxing talk, I did, and I reminded them that, well, Javante Davis is kinda
Exhibit A. That old video of him and Adrian Broner locked in each other's arms, blowing kisses at each other? Was she living under a rock when this first got uploaded to the internet?
Is this the first that you've heard of this? Or are you being willfully obtuse?
And there were others. A guy who goes by the name Live Bets King said, "This motherfucker made a video of 2 men kissing. What the hell is the world coming to?" And trans messing the world up.
Well, Ellie Sackback spends enough time kissing Javante Davis's ass that video is hardly unprecedented, and Javante Davis himself...
Kid's a anybody can see that. He paints his nails, he wears purses, he's hugged up on Brona while Brona blows kisses at him. Is that what you do with your buddies after a few brews? Is that what happens?
Guy who goes by the name Larry Dodge said whoever made this is... What type of closet would make an AI of two men kissing, and you're just as much a posting it, weirdo?
Maybe what your problem is that I don't actually have to make an AI video of Javante Davis hugged up with a man for him to be hugged up with a man.
A man?
Because I posted that video of him and Adrian under every single one of these comments, and every single time, nobody had nothing to say. You want to be in denial about that, kid, you go right on ahead. Guy who goes by the name Jers the Reaper said that's two drunk guys playing around.
Is that what you do with your buddies when you get drunk, Jers?
Not something I do, but this has nothing to do with their sexuality. It's definitely a pause moment.
So when Javante Davis is standing right behind Adrian Broner with his arms wrapped around him while Broner blows kisses at him, you're saying that's got nothing to do with their sexual orientation?
You're trying very hard to make that seem normal when I'm just stating the obvious. I think Javante Davis is into men, and I think that Ellie Sackback is too, which is why he spends so much time groveling at Javante Davis's feet. You can be a fan of a sport, or a fan of a fighter, a fan of an athlete.
But there is a line between being a fan and being a fanatic, and Ellie crossed that line a long time ago. The amount of time, the amount of years he spent apologizing for Javante Davis. What are you, the girlfriend?
And what is Jers the Reaper? What are the queens of boxing talk? The publicists? What are you trying to convince me of exactly? That these are the kind of activities that heterosexual males engage in? As a heterosexual male myself, I can tell you, there's no amount of beers.
No amount of alcohol that's going to change your sexual orientation. All it's going to do is remove your inhibitions, and what lies underneath is what's going to come out.
That reckless abandon, so if those two are hugged up with each other, it's not because of the alcohol.
You rather get mad at me for pointing it out than address it yourself because you're protecting him. That's why so many people gathered under that post.
To protect his image, moreover, to protect your own. I've seen a lot of people say, on a lot of different occasions, that Javante Davis is doing it for the culture.
Huh?
The culture.
What culture?
The one these folks are protecting. You've made him an ambassador, a representation of whatever it is you are. So somebody takes a shot at him, you take it as they're taking a shot at you. That's why you rush to his defense. But what are you defending? What are you defending exactly? His degenerate behavior? How many times he's been arrested for domestic abuse? Why, is that something that you're into?
Because then you're a piece of shit too.
What are you defending? His cowardly behavior? How many years he avoided real fights with real fighters? Is that what you're defending?
Is that the culture?
Is that what you're about? Because you identify with him. It's the only reason you're defending him. Because of the culture.
The culture.
You've made him a representation of who you are. An extension of yourself. So are his degenerate behaviors your degenerate behaviors when he has a few brews and starts with Adrian Broner? Is that what you do with your buddies?
I think it is.
I've long maintained before many content creators that the reason these guys are so enamored with Javante Davis don't have a whole lot to do with boxing or who he's fighting. That's not what they're fans of. They're man fans. You can't be a fan of boxing, a true blue fan of boxing, and a fan of Javante Davis at the same time. They don't go together.
What makes someone a fan of boxing is the direct opposite, the polar opposite of what you see in Javante. So you can't be a fan of him and simultaneously be a fan of this sport. Unless you're a fan of something else.
You're into other stuff. Butt stuff.
And that's why you would sooner get mad at me for pointing it out than address the elephant in the room.
Elephant in the room? They're probably standing behind the elephant, inside the elephant's ass. There are so many people in the American media that pull their punches with Javante Davis. They have for years. They go easy on him, no matter how bad it gets.
But I don't have any professional relationships to maintain. I'm not relying on some promoter and playing nice so that I can get media credentials. I've no reason, none at all, to pull punches.
He's a piece of shit, and you are too for liking him. Birds of a feather flock together.
They say that great minds think alike. Stupid ones do too.
That's why you're such a fan of him. And you can be that. I can really care less who you root for. You guys came to me. Keep that bullshit over there.
Which allows us to segue to another installment of what is fast becoming the most popular segment here on the channel. Ring IQ Hate Mail! My previous video, I talked about how Canelo is a great ambassador for the sport of boxing and for Mexican boxing. To that, Bobby D5608 said, I think Canelo is great, but he is great for Mexican boxing. You love to diss American boxing, and never talk about the boxers that are good for American boxing. You ain't talking about him either, Bobby. You wrote an entire paragraph and didn't mention one.
I've never heard you talk about the boxers, few as they may be, that are good for American boxing. You seem to like Bud, but you never put out a video themed boxers that are good for American boxing.
Well, that's because most of them ain't no good.
And I think it's because you have a deep Hispanic resentment for black folks. And you don't label those that are good for American boxing as such because they are black. Congrats! You are a full-on American citizen! This is boxing's equivalent of a Karen. Bobby D's DEI mentality, thinking there's some invisible status quo that I have to keep. If I say something nice about Canelo, I have to say something nice about somebody else?
No, the fuck I don't.
I don't gotta do a goddamn thing to make you feel better about yourself and whatever tribe you claim to be from, because this is not about you. This is about boxing. So let's take a head count of American boxers. What are they doing? Teofimo is out for the rest of the year. He's not doing nothing, and he's a general pain in the ass, but still, that pain in the ass is out for the rest of the year. So is Shakur.
Keyshawn Davis, too. I think he's out for the rest of the year.
You got newly crowned WBA champion, Rolly Romero, who I'm told by my inside sources will be facing Manny Pacquiao in December. He is fighting.
But do you think that fight is good for boxing? Is this what you want me to do? You want me to give Rolly a cookie for fighting a 46-year-old Manny Pacquiao?
America is lacking in so many weight classes these days. Who is it that you want me to talk about? There's no dominant American middleweight, no dominant American super middleweight like heavyweight, cruiser.
Heavyweight?
Come on, Bobby, give me some names. Who is it that you want me to talk about?
Come on, Bobby. Name somebody.
Are you hard of hearing or something? There's a reason I brought up Canelo Alvarez. It's because Canelo, the Mexican fighter, had the same opportunity to sell out as the American fighter, but he didn't sell out.
Like the American fighter? Or did that go over your head while you were begging me to hand out participation awards to all the Americans that are so good for boxing? Oh my God! Give me a break.
You know, that's what's wrong with your generation. You keep expecting everybody to hand you out participation awards. That if I say something good about Canelo and what makes him good for boxing, you want a prize too. You want a blue ribbon too. For what?
What?
You want me to stop?
Stop what? Stop what?
Stop telling the truth? Stop assigning the blame where the blame belongs? Stop pointing out the obvious.
Stop talking bad about the Americans.
No.
Now I'm gonna make it a point to say even worse stuff, more often, about how shitty the American boxing scene is.
More.
They just fought for undisputed again in a heavyweight division. That was a Ukrainian and a Brit. Now when we did have a champion at that weight, Deontay Wilder, he was more concerned with fighting Tyson Fury than fighting for undisputed.
Say some nice things about the Americans.
Is there a dominant American cruiserweight that I don't know about? Because near as I can tell, all the belt holders at that weight are from someplace else.
Say some nice things about the Americans.
There is David Benavidez in the light heavyweight division. He's a champion at light heavyweight, but he's hardly dominant. He got his belt via an email.
Say some nice things about the Americans.
There might be one or two halfway decent Americans in the super middleweight division, but we all know who the king of that weight class is. It's the guy I talked about. It's Canelo.
From Mexico.
But he wants me to say some nice things about the Americans. So speaking of the Americans, boxing insider Rick Lacier said Michael Hunter is now out with Big Baby Miller because no one needs legal threats from Don King on the verge of a major fight week. My suggestion is get straight with Don. To which Michael Hunter himself replied, bullshit. Zero to do with Don King. Miller pulled out.
I find that a little bit difficult to believe because before we got here, Don King had sent Sella and Turkey El Sheikh a cease and desist letter on the premise that he is still Michael Hunter's promoter and he plans for Michael to fight Kubrat Pulev
in the winter, so are we now to believe that that cease and desist letter has nothing to do with why this fight has been called off? What will tell the story in this bona fide case of he said, she said, is whoever goes on to fight on either Turkey's show or Don's show, if Don actually does one. If the next time we see Michael, it's on a Don King show, we'll know he's the one who withdrew.
And if he boxes on Turkey's show, then we'll know it wasn't him. It was Jarrell, Big Baby.
Big baby!
Big hungry.
America's offering to the heavyweight division Michael Hunter and Jarrell Big Baby Miller, who could hardly be described as the best in show, or even near the best in today's heavyweight division, since Bobby D wanted me to say nice things about the Americans. You know, Michael Hunter's a nice name.
You know that Jarrell Miller? He talks real fast for a guy who weighs over 300 pounds. You'd think he'd be out of breath.
Check out the lungs on him.
America's offering to the heavyweight division. Now that we know that Jake Paul will not be boxing Anthony Joshua, and that's not a thing anymore because he's boxing Gervonta, that means that Anthony Joshua is free. Eddie Hearn recently stated that he may return early next year, and I wouldn't mind either a Michael Hunter fight or a Jarrell Miller fight. Whichever one of the two is free, I could go for that.
I think the more marketable fight, based on Kender, based on banter, would have to be the Jarrell Miller fight. In many ways, Jarrell has unfinished business with Anthony Joshua, dating all the way back to 2019 when they were supposed to fight but didn't because he popped hot for all those banned substances. He has since been allowed to resume his career. He has been fighting, still got a big mouth.
But what that also means is he's still a marketable fighter. He's still one of the better trash talkers in boxing today, and for me and my money, I think he can still get under Anthony's skin better than anybody. Maybe that's what Anthony needs in this phase of his career. Somebody to wake him up, activate the beast, the spite.
Use it as motivation.
Comes to Anthony, it's not actually necessary for him to come back or for him to keep fighting. I remember initially they said he'd come back in December of this year. They have since pushed the comeback to early next year. And I don't know what he plans on doing. Does he still want to be a 3-time heavyweight champion? Is that still a goal? Is that still a thing? Because he's made enough money, he doesn't have to keep fighting.
What may help in that effort to become a 3-time heavyweight champion is we are very close to the reset button being hit in the heavyweight division. Usyk has all the belts. He has them for now, but that guy's got maybe one more fight left in him, if that. Very soon, he will retire. When he does, those belts are going to get redistributed.
And when they do, Anthony would sooner win a belt from somebody else than win one from Alexander Usyk. He can't bottleneck all the talent in this division anymore. Anthony stands a better chance of becoming a 3-time heavyweight champion if Usyk's not around. Maybe that's the kick in the ass he needs to wake up. It was a devastating loss to Daniel Dubois. I didn't expect it, and I know he didn't.
But it's not too late. He can come again.